Всем привет! Today we're gonna have a little bit of fun with Russian. I teach Russian all the time, and I know how difficult this language is. And that's why I always remind my students that to keep enjoying the language, you have to have a little bit of fun with it. So today you can participate even if you just have the very basic knowledge of Russian, because I'm going to be showing you real license plates from the internet. And we're going to be trying to figure out if it's gibberish or if it means something in Russian. And as you can see here, it says part 1, because I'll have a couple of videos like that. So please let me know in the comments if you like the idea. So just a little bit why I'm doing it now. So I've had these license plates stored on my computer for quite a while, and sometimes I have this kind of like task with my students. But a couple of days ago, I saw the news about Russia releasing its supercar, something car. And look at the license plate. It's Marussia. In the last 6 letters, basically spelled Russia. So I thought that actually most English speakers will read it something like as Marussia, thinking that maybe it's like my Russia, but it actually is a name, and the name reads Marusia. Marusia. And Marusia is a nickname for the Russian name Maria. Russians love nicknames, and every Russian name has like at least 10 different nicknames, and I will have a separate video about that on my channel. But right now, let's take a look at the license plate. And we'll start with the one that actually mixes up the Latin letters and the Russian letters, and it reads as Сиди дома. Сиди дома, which translates to stay at home or stay in. Literally, it means sit at home. And in Russian language, we use the word sit with the connection of like at home to be staying in, staying at home. For instance, when Russian parents are leaving their kids to go to the store or somewhere, and they don't want their kids to go outside and play with their friends while the parents are gone, they can tell them, сиди дома, не выходи, stay in, like sit at home, stay in, do not leave, сиди дома. Before we look at some more license plates, I want to say that the letter D, yes, it kind of reminds you of the Russian letter D, but not really. So in my license plate that I will be showing you, I will be focusing only on the letters that like really, really look like the Russian letters. And there are 2 separate groups for that. There is a group of the Russian letters that are almost the same as the English letters. For instance, the Russian letter A sounds pretty much like the sound in car. A. The letter K, the Russian letter K, makes the sound K like K does in kitten. The Russian letter M is very similar to the English letter M in terms of how it sounds. And then the Russian letter O pretty much sounds like the sound O in more. And the letter T is very similar to the English, to the sound that the English letter T makes, like talk or time, and so on. Okay, let's take a look at some words that we can create by using these letters. So a very simple Russian word, mama, ma-a, mama. There's another one, как, which means how is or just like. Here's the word tam, which means over there, tam. There's the word кот, which means a male cat. Now, these are already fun, I think, but we can also start combining them to make phrases that also will be fun. So, for example, we can say как мама, which, if it's a question, it basically means, how's your mom? How's she doing? But if it's a statement, как мама, basically means just like my mom, как мама. The next one is как там кот? And that is definitely, it basically is a question. Как там кот? Like, how's the cat doing over there? Как там кот? Or we can do something short like кот там, the cat is over there. Once again, these are my ideas. These are not license plates, but we can, have a little bit of fun with that. So that was the first group. So the next group of the letters are the Russian letters that look like English ones, but sound differently. For example, the Russian letter V looks like the English B, but it is V sound, like V in vet. And the Russian letter E looks like the English E, and the sound that it makes is like E in let. Next is the Russian letter N, and it makes the sound N, like N makes an no. The next letter is R, and Russians roll their R's. So when I say it's like R in run, it's kind of like an approximation of the sound. Then the next one is S, and it sounds like same as the S in some. Next one is U, which is like the sound that the double O makes in words like root. And finally, the letter H. And here I said like H in horror. And of course, H, we have in other words like home or here or he. But I feel like horror, when people say like a horror movie, they pronounce this H stronger compared to the words like home or he. And that one, when it's pronounced stronger, it's closer to the Russian letter H. Okay, so here's the word that combines the letters from this list with the previous list, and that's нет, which means no, like the opposite of yes. Here is the word stress. I think it's pretty clear what it means. Stress. Русский – это stress. Russian is stress. Metro means a subway or a metro. Then the word не is very similar to нет because it's also a negation, but it's like the English word not, like N-O-T, like not me, не я, or я не знаю, I don't know, I do not know. And finally the word test, which means a test. So again, we can combine them to produce something else. And again, these are just my ideas, not license plate. But for example, стрессу нет. We added U to stress to change the case, because Russian has cases. So стрессу нет means say no to stress. Say no to stress. I think it's good. Another one that can be kind of fun for actual license plate is не метро, which means not a subway. Or maybe even stress test. Stress test. Okay, these are my ideas. And now let's take a look at the actual license plates. So here is one, and it reads as tractor. Tractor. And it means a tractor, like a John Deere tractor. And here we have a phrase, actually, and it reads as везет мне. Везет мне. And you can see the second "е" actually has two dots. It's the letter "ё." And in Russian printed sources, it's very rare that "ё" is printed as "ё." It almost always is printed as "е" because Russians just naturally know when to read it as "ё." And that's one of those cases where we read it as везет мне. And it means just my luck. So kind of like a little bit sarcastic, just my luck. It actually doesn't have to be sarcastic. It actually mean for real, like I am lucky, like luck loves me, мне везет. But here I would say it's probably sarcastic. I don't know, just a hunch. Just my luck. Везет мне. Here it's a little bit hard to see, but it spells as сказка, сказка, and that means a fairy tale. What a wonderful license plate. And here's a funny one, and it reads as не мент, and that means not a cop. Here is another word, and it's самокат, самокат, and that means a scooter. And it's also a little bit of the play on words here, because самокат literally means the one that drives itself, самокат. But it also means a scooter. And finally, the SSSR. SSSR is the USSR. So that's where we're gonna stop. And once again, let me know in the comments if you like the idea. Maybe brainstorm some ways to combine these letters into some Russian words. And let me know, maybe you are one of these people that has this license plate that's not gibberish, that's actually a Russian word. Okay, I'll stop here and I'll see you in my next videos. Пока-пока.